fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
Forget about water, oxygen, or radio signals. The real sign of alien intelligence is pollution. Yes, pollution. Find out why in this video. But first, a simple question. If you were an alien and you got to Earth's orbit with your DIY wormhole machine, what would you do? How would you introduce yourself to Earth? Would you be kind, rude, or cryptic? Or would you just bail and head back to your planet disgusted by what you saw? Let me know in the comments section. And speaking of aliens, how do we find them in the first place? Well, some scientists think that the best way to detect advanced civilizations is to look for signs of their industrial activity, such as gases that are not produced by natural processes. In other words, they want to find alien smog. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone want to do that? Aren't we supposed to look for signs of life, not signs of death? Well, scientists have a very convincing reason for their idea. They say that these gases are the perfect techno-signature gases, because they are very easy to spot with spectroscopy. That's the amazing technique that astronomers use to study the light from distant planets and stars. By looking at the colors of a planet's air, they can tell what kind of stuff is in it. You see, most of the time when we think of searching for aliens, we look for signs of life as we know it, things like liquid water, organic molecules, oxygen, or even radio waves. But what if there are civilizations out there that are so advanced that they don't need any of those things? What if they found ways to harness energy from sources we can't even imagine? What if they have transcended their biological limitations and become cyborgs or artificial intelligences? Well, in that case, we might have a hard time finding them. Unless, of course, they're sloppy and leave behind some traces of their technological activities. Traces like atmospheric pollution. That's right, pollution. You know, the stuff that we humans have been producing for centuries, and that is slowly killing our planet. Turns out it might also be the best way to find other intelligent beings in the universe. How so? Well, let me explain. There are some gases out there that are like the snobs of the chemistry world. They're called fully fluorinated compounds. They're like the Hollywood stars of gases, and they go by names like nitrogen trifluoride and sulfur hexafluoride. These bad boys contain nothing but fluorine atoms, and they're so stuck up that they would never mix with anything else. But here's the problem. Life on Earth wants nothing to do with these gases. Seriously, it's like they're the outcasts of the chemical world. NF or SF bonds? Nope, not happening. Fluorine is basically the black sheep of the family when it comes to life's chemistry on our lovely planet. And guess what? Even Mother Nature doesn't produce fluorine in big amounts. So what does that mean for us? Well, it's time to blame industrial pollution. Yep, you heard it right. These gases aren't just any old troublemakers, they're the special leftovers from our industrial activities. So the next time you happen to sense a whiff of nitrogen trifluoride or sulfur hexafluoride in the air, just keep in mind, it's not Mother Nature pulling pranks, it's us. Plain and simple. We're the ones who've given the gases their moment in the spotlight. Their presence on Earth has grown rapidly from almost zero since the start of the Industrial Revolution. People figured out all sorts of cool ways to use these gases, like keeping stuff cold. Yep, refrigeration, making super smart computer parts, semiconductor manufacturing, playing it safe with electricity, electrical insulation, and even fueling rockets into the great unknown, rocket propellants. So yeah, they're multi-talented, but they're also eco-villains. Why? Because they're very good at trapping heat in the air and making the planet warmer. So while they're doing their jobs, they're also causing climate change. Talk about a double-edged sword. So if we see these gases in the atmosphere of a distant planet, we might have a good reason to suspect that there's an advanced civilization there. A civilization that's developed technologies similar to ours or even more advanced. A civilization that might be aware of us, or not. But before we get too excited about finding alien polluters in the cosmos, we need to consider some challenges and limitations. First of all, how do we detect these gases? Well, we need to use a technique called spectroscopy, which is basically staring at the light from a star or a planet and looking for specific colors that match different elements or molecules. This way we can guess what kind of stuff is in the atmosphere of a planet. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, not really. Spectroscopy is a very tricky and complex process that requires very precise measurements and sophisticated instruments. It also depends on many things, such as how far the planet is from its star, how we look at it, if there are clouds or dust in the way, and if there are other lights that mess up our view. To make matters worse, these fully fluorinated compounds have very low concentrations in the atmosphere. That means they are very hard to detect even with our best telescopes. In fact, we haven't even detected them on Earth from space yet. So how can we expect to find them on planets that are light years away? Well, there might be hope. We have some possible ways to improve our chances of finding these gases. One of them is to focus on planets that are very hot and close to their stars, because they would have more of these gases and more light in their atmospheres. Another way to find planets with life is to look for ones that are too cool for school, meaning they have large and weird orbits that make them stand out from the crowd. These planets would have more variations and anomalies in their atmospheres, which could be signs of life or just bad fashion choices. We could also use more than one telescope and instrument to spy on the same planet, because we would get more information and precision about what they're up to. This way we can see whether the gossip from different sources matches, or if someone's lying. Of course, these are just some suggestions. There might be other ways to enhance our search for these gases, but even if we manage to overcome these technical difficulties, there's still another problem. How do we interpret the results? Even if we manage to sniff out some NF3 or SF6 in some distant planet's atmosphere, what does that mean? Have we found an alien civilization? Well, not necessarily. There are some other explanations that could account for these stinky gases without involving any smart creatures. Maybe the planet has a different geology than Earth and likes to play with fire and rocks. It could have more volcanoes, meteors, or tectonic plates that spit out or recycle fluorine. Or maybe the planet has some weird life forms that use fluorine in their metabolism or biosynthesis. They could be making or eating these gases as part of their food chain or social network. Another scenario is that the planet has a different environment than Earth and likes to spice things up. It may have more solar radiation, cosmic rays, or magnetic fields that alter the chemistry of the atmosphere. It might also go through more climate changes, ice ages, or mass extinctions that shake up the balance of the atmosphere. You know, just for fun. So as you can see, finding these gases in the atmosphere of a distant planet is not a piece of cake. And even if we do find them, it doesn't mean we found an alien civilization. It could be just a natural phenomenon or a different kind of life. But it's still worth trying because it could also be a sign of something amazing and unexpected. Or maybe we're just wasting our time and money on a wild goose chase. By the way, speaking of finding alien life, what if I told you that NASA already did, but accidentally destroyed it afterwards? It sounds crazy, right? But we have a video on this topic that you can watch by clicking here. Trust me, it'll shock you. Now, before you leave, for that awesome video, I have a classic to announce. Are you ready? Here it comes. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon to get notified of our upcoming videos. It may sound like a typical YouTuber thing, but it really makes a difference for the growth of the channel. Thanks for watching, see you next time with more awesome space news.